Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Definitely appreciate the support. In this video, we're going to dive into pass protection in regards to the patented Mike Blitz 0 and the different variants that people utilize from it. And for first and foremost, please excuse the image quality or the video quality. Primarily, if I upload it directly from the PS5, obviously the quality would be 100%, but because I have to upload it to an application so I can telestrate on the video, there's a lot of quality loss in regards to video. But I think that it's really important to telestrate to kind of get across the kind of theory in regards to picking up the problems in Mike Blitz 0. So I think the loss in quality in video is a okay substitute for the quality and kind of understanding of what's going on. So I come out, this is the first play for me on offense. I believe he scored the first drive. And this guy comes out in this formation right here. So right away, my alarm bells are going off. I'm thinking, okay, is this that formation that everyone's harping about and utilizing? I believe they got it from Henry or wherever he got it from. And right away, we can tell that's what's going on because they shift like that. And then the user comes down and mugs the A gap. So this is actually very easy to deal with. I remember, when I ran across it the first time, I just ran my offense, right? And then I thought, you know what? Hey, the next time I run into this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a whole bunch of plays from whatever playbook I'm in, plays that I've never used before, and showcase how just kind of understanding how to pick it up, you can still function as a NFL type offense and be fine as long as you understand what you need to do in regards to protection, okay? So if we think about it, if they call cover 0, right, you'd be man-to-man across the board, man-to-man, and he's man-to-man on the back. Then these guys would all be coming in their respective gaps. And if you send 5 out into routes, right, 5-man protection, well then obviously we only have 5 to block 6. So that means someone's going to come scot-free. And, the defense is always have the ability to bring more than what the offense can block, and the offense always has the ability or potential to decide who that free rusher will be. So theoretically, if we wanted to, we could just not block this guy and block the other 5 if we wanted to, right? It's completely up to the offense, at least on the whiteboard, right? I mean, everything changes on the field. What if I go out to block this guy and I get mauled? But theoretically, if we wanted to, we could allow this guy to come scot-free. So that's just a exaggeration of how it really is. How it really is the offense wants to block inside out. We don't want anyone coming free in the A or the B gaps. So if someone's going to come scot-free, we want it to be someone the furthest away from the quarterback, so we have enough time for the quarterback to process information and make the right throw, right? So we could block this way, and that would make this guy a free player coming at the quarterback if they all come. And that would mean that this guy is hot. And what that means is the quarterback has to throw the ball before this guy reaches the quarterback. That's what throwing hot is. On the flip side of that, we could decide to block in this fashion with a nice slide. 5 on 6, you're out into a route. And that would make this guy the free rusher at the quarterback. And he would be the hot, okay? And yes, you can, with the ID the Mike feature, decide which one of these players you want to be the hot player. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, they really don't do that. What they do is they mug this gap and they get out of there. And that's exactly what we're going to get into because this guy was doing it all game, okay? What players do, if you don't understand that, is they mug this gap as the user. And at the snap of the ball, they hold it just a bit and then they fly out of there to get into coverage. And what that does is it forces the offensive line to have to react because we don't know if this guy's actually coming or not, okay? But we still have to protect inside out. So if we were to slide this way to pick this guy up, let's say we're going to slide this way. And this guy at the snap of the ball, let's say, you're coming, you're coming, you're coming, you're coming. Let's say this guy bails out of there. Well, now they're bringing 5 on 5, and theoretically we should be able to pick that up. The problem is, because we turned our protection towards the strong side of this formation, it's too late to turn out to pick up this player. So theoretically what happens is they are rushing 5 against 5 and still getting someone scot-free, and that's because he's holding the gap, forcing the offensive line to turn to deal with the potential threat of this guy coming, which allows someone to come scot-free on the edge, right? And I don't see nothing cheesy about this at all, because teams in the league actually do this, right? I mean, there's a lot of schemes where you hold gaps and you force the offensive line to turn to a particular direction while you have someone coming off of the edge on the opposite end, right? Okay, so how do we deal with this? Well, you will see how I deal with this throughout the game. So I decided to go in 6-man protection with this particular play. I won't go into the ins and outs of this play, right? And that's one way to deal with this, where the back will pick up, and then we are responsible for these 5. I missed an offensive lineman there. Okay, and then you can go through your reads. We got 1-on-1 across the board. Now, the reason why you can't live in a protection like this, you can, hey, you know what? I'll just do 6-man protection every time so I know that I'm good and no one comes scot-free. The reason why you really can't live in that is because now they can show this look, which forces you to block the back, but in actuality, everyone's dropping out, right? And now we are rushing 3 players and you're blocking 6. What does that do? Well, that means on the back end, that would put 5, 6, 7. That would put 8 defenders in coverage with 4 running routes. So those windows are going to be nowhere close to as open as it would be if you had 5 going out into routes stretching the field, right? So what do we do to deal with this? Well, we're going to get into this. First play of the game, I snap the ball, and as you see, the back take care of this. And as we noted, we are confirming that the user is holding and then getting out of there to get back into coverage. And that's what people are doing. So I throw my little route outside, pick up a nice game, 1-on-1 coverage, and then we move on to the next play. All right, so this is when I'm like, you know what, I'm going to stay in my formation, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, there's the play right there. I'm like, hey, I remember, you know, last time I stated, hey, you know what, when I run into this, I'm going to run a whole bunch of different plays that I've never ran before and see how it works out in regards to understanding how to deal with protecting against it. So that's what I did. So I did that on the 3rd play. The 2nd play, I still remained in my offense from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as we see, he's still in the same formation. So now I'm getting a pretty good idea on what he's doing. So this is recorded a while ago, so I don't remember the intricacies of what I was thinking exactly. I think I did this a week ago. So I'm going to be doing this on the fly in regards to what I was thinking, okay? So right away, I know what I'm doing. You see how I set the mic over there? Why did I do that, okay? So I'm going to remain in 5-man protection. So what does that mean? That means that if he hugs this gap and gets out of there and we are sliding here, okay? So if we were to slide here, but he bails out of there, what would happen here? Well, this guy would be coming scot-free, and they'd only be bringing 5 on a rush, and they have 5 in protection, okay? However, what I decided to do is, what you can do is you can slide away from your potential hot receiver. Basically, you want to look at the back end. What do we see on the back end, okay? Obviously, they're in some type of coverage. They can be in cover 0. They can be in cover 2. It doesn't matter. Everything is in regards to the front. Okay. Well, if this guy were to come on a rush, who would be able to defend this back? Nobody, right? If he were to come, we would be able to rip it outside and catch the ball and get out into space, because he would have this guy occupied and this guy's too far off. So that's why with this play, I decided to set this guy as the mic, right? So what does that do? It's going to slide like this. And even though he's going to hold and get out of there, it doesn't matter. This lets us know 100%, I know that if he comes, he's not going to be picked up. What does that mean for me? I have to throw hot, okay? But if he doesn't come, this is why this is the most important part of understanding protection and setting your protection. If he doesn't come, then I don't have to throw hot. And why is that? That's because if all of these guys come, we are sliding to pick them all up, right? So this means if he gets out of there, I don't have to throw hot. I can sit in the pocket, know that I'm good, know that no one's coming scot-free, and I can keep my eyes downfield and read the concept and throw the ball, okay? So I don't care if you're hugging the gap and running out of there, right? With you doing that, if this guy comes, I'm going to get a positive play. If this guy doesn't come, I can read downfield and make my throws. So that's exactly what's going to happen. And you're going to see this same concept all the way down. Now, you'll notice how I'm not using a back in protection. I'm getting 5 out into routes so we can properly stretch the defense and keep our windows open. And then if you decide to blitz, you're taking more from the back end while we are still stretching the back end of the defense. So we'll see that here. Right here, at the snap of the ball, I'm looking at him 100%. The second I see him get out of there, I know I'm good, right? Notice how this guy's coming, but we're flaring out, and we know that we have him in protection, right? Obviously, he held, and he's getting out of there. So I don't have to throw to the back. I can sit, read my concept, be comfortable, make the throw deep downfield. And you're going to see this pattern over and over again with a lot of different plays. I went no huddle, but I think I started going no huddle. In the huddle, because I wanted to utilize a lot of different plays to show you guys the concept. Here I noticed he jumped into what looks like cover 2 zone. But as you can see, this is very good to see these concepts, because it doesn't matter what the back end is. He can be in a lot of different things. He can be in man-to-man, he can be in cloud, he can be in deep third. Doesn't matter. He's showing the same front, and he can play the same games where these guys are coming and I just hold the gap and get out of there, hoping that you slide this way and then he comes scot-free, right? So they can do a lot of different coverages. That's why you got to keep your route combinations in with your offense and be able to block this up, right? Because if you're just running stuff that's good against cover 0 man-to-man, well, now he can do this and play cover 2 behind it, and you're going to have problems, right? You got to be comfortable with pass protection so that you can still run and function with your offense. So let's see what I did here, and based upon what I do, I'll know what I was thinking. Okay, it looks like I stayed in this play, and I'm doing the same concept. So I'm sliding this way, so I know that if he comes, I have to throw hot. Snap, he doesn't come. So right here in the play, we're talking milliseconds after the ball is snapped, I know that I don't have to rush this throw, right? Notice how we pick up the outside edge, right? Because we know that we slid this way. Okay, at the snap of the ball, you're looking at the hot defender, 100%. If he comes, that cuts out the processing you're thinking all the way down to 0, right? If he comes right away, throw hot. If he doesn't come, now you go through your process, read the defense, make the proper throw, okay? So we snap, and I make my throw, and as you can tell, I made a mistake here, right? I have a high-low read on this side of the field. That's the tight end. And we really high-low this defender here, right? This is a play I'm going over. Going to drop actually tomorrow, I believe. And we see how he's playing in no man's land, and we could have thrown this throw behind him, right? But that's okay. It's good to go over this so you kind of see big plays left out on the field. So he was in Tampa too, right? So that's where pre-snap reading is very strong. So here I'm like, you know what? Let me go 5 wide, right? So he's in the same deal. Looks like cover 0, man-to-man. Now this is a quick hitting play, so you don't necessarily have to set the mic to be productive with this play. Let's see what I did. Okay, I think I know what I'm doing here. So, again, we're going to slide this way. Okay? And if he comes, we have to throw hot, which is fine, because if he comes, then we're hitting in this window. The reason why I hot route both of these guys to slants, I know it's man-to-man here. Okay? The reason why I did that is because I know the user is going to commit and then get out of there and play in this window. So I can't throw the first slant. The first slant has to take him away, right? and then we can throw behind into the second window, right? It's almost like the arches passing concept, the concept I haven't went over. Okay, so we're gonna snap the ball, and look, he's coming. So right here, I know I have to get rid of the ball. Right here, right? And we throw that second window, right? Because this guy can potentially get in the window of the first one, and that's why we have this throw on the outside. We fit it in there, and we score a touchdown. So here, this is a play that I've went over. I've been running this concept, guys. The pounder on one side, quarters variant on the other side, and I've been shutting down gun tight. Like, it's better than any other play that I've went over. So hopefully you go into that. So I'm like, you know what? Let me pick another play. Let's pick a different play. So I went with this. And it doesn't look like he's in that blitz play anymore, right? So I'm like, hey, you know what? I think that first drive might have scared him off. So it still looks like he's in cover 0 though, right? So I still set the mic here. So I'm hoping we get a 4-on-4, big on big, makes this guy hot. Hot comes, I know I have to get rid of it. We throw at the top of the route, and we pick up a first down. But right away, look, he's in LB Blitz 0 that time. So it looks like we scared him off. He's in cover 0 again, I can tell with the pre-snap read. But I really want to get back to Mike Blitz 0. So we can see he's still doing the same concept. Maybe he didn't like how the first drive, he couldn't get any pressure on me. We can go over what transpired here. There we go. I set him as the mic. What that does is, in an even front, these three will take care of these three. These guys will be big on big, right? And the reason why I was thinking this is because there's no one really on the outside for the back, right? You have to take him, you have to take him. That would take like a backside safety man-to-man with this player. So if I get a free rusher off of this edge, I can just throw to the flat and he'd have it out leveraged to the outside. Snap. That's what happens. He actually screws up with the defense because he doesn't come, right? Had he have came, this guy would have came scot-free. But it wouldn't have mattered anyways because the ball would be gone anyways. Okay, so maybe I'll just keep going. And as we see, I throw hot there and we pick up a first down. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pick something else. And as you can see, 0 calls, right? So I picked a play I've never picked before. Let's see what happens. So he's doing all types of wacky 0 pressures here. Okay, so with him set as a mic, we should get a 4-on-4 deal here. Big on big. I would make this player the hot. If he comes, we know we have to get rid of the ball before he gets there. We have to get rid of it quick. There he goes. So he's coming, right? We get rid of the ball, top of the route. There it is. And you'll see why this works. If he comes, who has the tight end, right? We know man-to-man, man-to-man, right? So if you come, someone who's man-to-man on the tight end is further inside. And he's running an out route. So it should be supremely out leveraging whichever defender has him inside. So that's why I set this guy as a mic. We want this guy to be the free player because if you come, we know we can hit this tight end on the outside. And as you can see, this backside safety is responsible man-to-man with the tight end. And that's a no-no there. We throw out before that player can get to us, and we pick up a first down. 7 for 7, 105 yards, and a TD. So let's go to a different formation. Don't know what I picked here. Let's see. Okay. So this time I went 6-man protection. I have a route combination that I'm running on this side. And the reason why I'm doing this, I'll go ahead and inform you, is because I have a feeling what opponents will do is they'll call cover 0, and what they'll do is they'll hot route one of these outside edge rushers into little zones, anticipating that you're running something quick, right? Because you see the pre-snap tell of cover 0, so you check into a quick hitting play like stick, and you hit them with that out route. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to call cover 0 and then put these guys into underneath zones, right? So I have a route combination to attack deep if you do that. And what I'm going to do is we're going to slide this way. and you're going to be the hot defender. So if you come, well, then I throw hot. If you don't come, well, then I can throw deep on whatever deep concept that I have. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm keying this guy 100%. If he comes, then I'm throwing the slant. If he doesn't come, then I'm working my deep. Now he's coming, right? Right here, I know I'm throwing the slant. Now, the reason why the tackle is able to flare out and pick him up is because he's not properly holding the gap. The game is kind of psychic in knowing when players are coming and not. If he would have pushed a little bit harder and then got out of there, well, then, you know, we would have to squeeze in and then this guy would be coming free, right? But it wouldn't have mattered no matter what, because look at when I throw this ball, right? He wouldn't have gotten there. He would have been more about here. That free rusher had the tackle not have flared out. Look how we're throwing the ball in rhythm, unafraid of a defender getting in the window of the ball, knowing that they're in man-to-man coverage, right? When you're in man-to-man coverage, you're eyeing your receiver. As you can see this player here, there's no way he should know that the ball is coming. In rhythm, slant, and we get a touchdown. So I really do think maybe he stopped blitzing altogether in this video. He didn't do the Mike Blitz anymore, and maybe it's because he noticed that it just was not. I missed a big play touchdown there. It just was not getting in, right? I mean, as you can tell, well, I think I'm gonna put in the stats of this game. I literally went 18 for 18. So there, we can go back and see what he did. He called cover 0 again, and I have a curl pattern on this side. And at the snap of the ball, I noticed that they drive on the route. And what that means is he put the adjustment to underneath, right? Which is an ultimate no-no against a player who has someone going deep on the play. So when I see this right there, see how he stepped down? I know that on the opposite side, they're going to do the same thing. And we have someone to keep the defense honest. Because you're cheating and being dishonest, we can punish you. And that's where we get that big throw there. 12 for 12, 263. So I don't know why I skipped a whole bunch of that. Maybe it was getting too much into the offense, or I wanted to shorten this down. High scoring game. I believe he was blitzing the whole game. I'm starting to remember this game. But as we can see, we were torching this guy. And he just wanted to sit and cover 0. He's probably one of those guys where, hey, this is what I do. This is what I saw on YouTube, and it just works, right? Until he runs into someone like you or I who kind of understand how to block it up. So, yeah, now he's going back to his bread and butter. But he's still mixing it up a bit because he's noticed that it hasn't worked. So you saw me set this guy as the mic. We can go back. Okay. I'm going to end up setting this guy as the mic. So what does that do? We're going to slide this way. And it's going to make this guy the hot. Why is it beneficial to make this guy the hot? Because if he comes, who has the back, right? There's only 2 defenders over here. And that third defender responsible for the back and man-to-man defense would have to be him or him. Either or, he should have them out leveraged to the flat, right? On the flip side of that, this is why it's important to know who to set as the mic. If we were to set this guy as the mic and we slide this way, that would make this player the hot. Okay? What would happen if he were to come, but this guy bails out of there to defend the flat, right? And he's man-to-man and he's man-to-man. Now you have someone coming down free at the quarterback, but you don't have a hot throw to make, right? That's why it's very important to know who to set as a mic. Because if you set the wrong person as a mic and it doesn't make sense with your offense, well, then you're going to have someone coming free at the quarterback and you don't have an option to throw to, right? That's why, I can't necessarily say, hey, always set this guy as the mic. It's really relative to your playbook. Everything is relative to your playbook in pass protection and hots. Pass protections are directly tied to hots. Hots are directly tied to pass protection, right? And who you set as the hot and who it makes sense to make the hot is directly tied to the passing play that you have called, right? Who is the player that has someone out leveraged in the play, pre-snap in alignment, that you can get rid of the ball before a free rusher can get to you? Okay, let's develop a way to where that's the player that we can read in regards to throwing hot, right? A defender on that side, etc. That's why when you go read NFL playbooks or college playbooks and you look at their plays, a lot of times they'll have the pass protection that's designed for that play. Usually they're sliding to the will. They have someone on the strong side designated as the hot. Hey, if this guy comes, we are hot, right? Usually it takes two to come in regards to protection, but I won't get into that, okay? So I set him as the Mike, so I know offensive line is responsible for these players, and I'm responsible for this player. If he comes, I throw hot. If he doesn't, then I can just read the play, right? I can be comfortable in the pocket and be fine. Right here, I see he's coming, right? Now I know ball has to go. And I know I'm throwing to the back, right? Look how this backside safety has to cover all this ground to get to the back. There's just no way he can do that. We throw him in rhythm, and we leverage the outside of the defense. So 17 for 17, 376, 4 touchdowns against someone who just blitzed pretty much 95% of the game. He's in cover 0 again, right? So he backs him up. But he has the same problems, right? Like, you know, it's the same problem, okay? So if we set this guy as the Mike and an odd front, these 4 are going to take these 4. You're going to be big on big. You are the hot, okay? So what happens if he comes on a blitz? Who has the back, right? Well, this guy would have the tight end. You would have the receiver. That would take either him or him to get to the back, who has them both out leveraged to the flat. So it just makes sense to make this guy the Mike. If you were to make this guy the Mike, it wouldn't make sense because these 4 would be responsible for these 4. You would have him, and he would be hot, right? So if we snap the ball and he flares out with the back, he has the tight end, he has the receiver, right? And he's coming at the quarterback. You got to get rid of the ball. Well, you don't have a hot throw that you can really make, right? That's why it's important to know which side you want that hot defender to be ID'd as. So let's see what happens here. Tag him as a Mike. Makes sense. Okay. The second I see him come, I'm throwing the ball. Now, he's not mugging a gap anymore. So he's weakening his defense, right? If you're going to call cover 0, well then play the actual 0. Bring 6. Overload the offense. But if you're not, and you're going to bail out as a second level defender, at least mug a gap to force the offensive line to slide to you so you can still get someone coming scot-free and you can bail out of there. That's the whole point of Mike Blitz 0 and the scheme that people have developed with that blitzing package. He's doing the worst of both worlds where he's calling cover 0, but that 6th defender, he's not bringing on a blitz. So now we can just block 5-on-5 and be good, right? But I'm still throwing the back knowing that you're out leveraged, I would assume here. And I did. Juked him out of his cleats. And we pick up a nice gain there. 18 for 18, 385. So I think we're going to get to the end here. I think I was running the coverage that I've been speaking of here. No, it looks like I ran something different. It looks like a single high. I think that was cover 3 cloud, the first defense that I went over against gun tight. And I believe this is the moment he decided that he wanted to go do something else. Let's see. Maybe not. He wanted some more. So look, he's in cover 0. But now I'm just on let's milk the clock mode. Gave him enough chances to stop our offense. Wonder why I still got these clips in here. Oh, okay, there it is. So yeah, he had enough. So we went 18 for 18, almost 400 yards, 4 touchdowns on a player who was primarily utilizing Mike Blitz 0. And as I've always stated, if you want to get people out of cover 0 type packages, obviously he didn't. He was stubborn, so we're just going to punish you, right? But if you really want to get someone out of it and they're not stubborn, you got to punish them, all right? You got to make it look easy. And the way you can make it look easy is to understand pass protection, know who to set as the Mike, know who to slide to based upon your routes and etc. So You know, this may have not made too much sense for some people, but again, as I stated before in pass protection videos, there really isn't a base video I can make to set the tone to graduate to making more sense with other videos. I kind of have to just drop a whole bunch of different videos, and I think after a while you would just kind of catch on. So I'll leave it at that. Again, this is just how you block this particular front. When it comes to DB Fire 2 and all those other defenses, there's different things we have to do because of the coding of the game. So I'll leave it at that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you keep coming back, man. Peace.